Hey folks, so I want to take a few minutes and talk to you guys a little bit about our first experience with the new edition of Warhammer 40k. So we went through the core rules and managed to get a hold of them, and we tried a game basically, just small, only 50 power level. What we did is we took some of the Primaris rules as well as the Chaos rules, and we just tried a quick little game. We used the mission from the mission article that was posted a little while ago. That was the only war, and it worked out really good. I like the random aspect for the actual mission objective. It's kind of cool. So essentially, we just use models as proxy for now because we don't actually own them yet. But just to kind of start off, I had 48 points essentially. So 5 Primaris, 5 Primaris, 5 Primaris, 2 captains. And in reserve, I had 2 groups of interceptors. Just to kind of preface this, I'm doing this a little bit different in comparison to a lot of the other reports, mostly because I want to talk about certain aspects of the rules and certain things that happen within the game so I could pause it. If you guys like this type of battle report, cool, let me know and I'll continue with it. I'll just have to do some different types of filming just to make sure it's a little bit better than what the other type of battle reports are when it comes to filming wise. Anyways, with that said, let's kind of jump into things. So that was the army that I had. On the other side, we had some pox walkers. Back here we had a lord. We had some just plague marines, and the objective turned out to be eternal war, so that was the objective there. In reserve we had a lord, so he was kind of sitting ready to go to jump in, and he's going to go behind our lines and just wreak absolute havoc. We also had some more pox walkers on the other side of the table, and then a stand-in for a blight drone, which is evil. Blight drones are just nasty. So essentially I got first turn. So what I did is I basically moved up as best I could against the terrain here. So I moved up against the terrain, the wall here, and into this structure to try and shoot as much as I could. I took a few shots down at these guys here and a few shots here, and really any of the wounds I didn't really count for much because there wasn't anything to happen in the morale phase because of their special rules. Curses. But that's okay. I like the Marines. There's they shall know no fear. They get to reroll it, so that kind of saved my butt in a few situations. As a return, what the Chaos folks did is essentially just move up to the barriers and send their blight drone right down the table, which was pretty scary. But getting a lot of shots from these 30-inch bolt rifles are pretty neat. So we can see everyone's kind of moving up on this objective. One thing for sure, when it comes to the slower moving units, you're definitely going to want to just advance right from the get-go. Get them into the position that you want them to go into. The blight drone, there was a really good idea moving into the center of the table and kind of owning it for himself, and that's a really strong position to essentially go from. I think Fritz mentions that a lot. You know, take on the center of the table and kind of branch out from there. So we had the Plague Marines move up, the Poxwalker, and then the Lord on the other side kind of move around, and these guys moved up against the barrier. Shots into my guys weren't as bad as I expected, but we did receive a few wounds. So we were doing the wounds incorrectly, and this is one reason why I wanted to do the report a little bit differently, because when it came to the wounds, I was distributing them rather than once one unit's wounded, additional wounds will go on that model that's wounded, essentially. So I didn't really take that into consideration until we got a little bit further into the game and realized I was doing it incorrectly. But it didn't really make that big of a difference in the end, but it's still something to be aware of. So my guys are all snug against this wall, and we tried to shoot into the blight drone. It didn't really cause too much damage to it. We took a few wounds off, but nothing significant. And these guys, of course, fired back and caused a few wounds here and there. On one thing I did try and do is with the blight drone in that position there, I tried to move in my interceptors and fire in on it. Between the 2 groups of interceptors, the shots from all the Primaris Marines all going into the blight drone, we only took off a few wounds. It's tough to hurt. It's really hard to hurt. It's pretty neat. So essentially, he owned the center of the table and the objective, and brought in his lord right behind my lines here. It's a little fuzzy story, guys, but I moved up my Marines as best I could on this side to deal with the plague drone. My Primaris, not Primaris, the interceptors were assaulted by the plague drone and killed off two, and then during my turn I had this guy fall back, and then these guys assaulted. And here's another mistake when it comes to the wounds and how we were doing them, but we started to correct that a little bit later on. But running into a flamer of any kind when in Overwatch is just nasty. It's just horrible. So those Marines are down there sitting tight for the most part. They did fire up and really didn't do too much. When it comes to wounds, we were only able to take him down by, I think 6. He's at 6 wounds right now, that plague drone. These guys essentially moved up, charged into the Lord. Everyone here shot into the Lord, caused only a few wounds. Nothing too significant yet. So what happened here is these guys are holding their position, holding the objective. These plague Marines moved up. This Lord moved up along here, and he actually advanced just to try and get ahead because he really wants to get him in close combat, because that's pretty much all he has. Down here, we lost our our 2 Primaris Marines that tried to assault. It was a full 5-man squad that moved in there and were pretty much cut down to 2, and then eventually just destroyed while my captain moved in to try and help out. This captain tried to move in here but didn't quite make it. And this Marine, I was trying to decide on what to do with him. Did take a few shots, but I think we're going to send him up top to kind of hide. So far, movement and everything's been going well. Shooting's been going well. But as you can see, the interceptors here are wiped out, and the poxwalkers pretty much moved in to attack the remaining interceptor up there. I think that's what they're called anyways. So the blight drone's pretty much ready to just wreak havoc a little later. So here we have our captain moving in and fighting the Lord here with this captain as well. The captain that just assaulted received 3 wounds, so he got hit and just 3 wounds. The invulnerable save did not work with him, but over here, our invulnerable save's doing pretty well. This guy's continuing to advance up and getting ready to assault next turn. These guys moved up and started shooting to these 2 squads here. There's a squad just behind this. Again, these guys are just sitting tight. So they're not the poxwalkers were wiped out, and then we had the plague drone move up to get ready to assist with this mess, but he doesn't. I don't think he's going to care. We managed to get him down to 7 wounds finally after a few shots here and there, but this guy's all by himself. He's not going to cause any problems, so the chaos player is just going to ignore him. It always seems like whenever I ignore a unit, they just cause absolute havoc, but when one of my units are ignored, they're useless. So Marines over here sitting tight. The plague drone moved in. The interceptor moved down. These plague Marines moved up into the wall here. They were shooting on the guy on the inside of the wall, and I think he was killed by this point. Again, continuing to hold the objective. Down here, I lost my captain, and I managed to cause a few more wounds to this Lord. I think he was down to 1, and then my captain was just basically getting ready to take the assault from this guy, and we'll see what happens next. So, as we can see here, the captain was hit, managed to take out the Lord, but was hit and lost 3 more wounds. So he's in a bad shape right now. We have Plague Marines moving up here and getting ready to move in on the folks on the building. In here we had some dead guy. And over here we have our 2 remaining Primaris Marines getting ready to be destroyed by that blight drone. Yeah, very sad. And that guy's just kind of doing nothing important or useful at all. So really, in the end, it pretty much came down to the Lord crushing and destroying the final captain, and then the remainder of the army focused in on the last 2 Primaris Marines and our interceptor, and pretty much destroyed them. So that was that. It was a quick game, and one thing I really like about these no core rules is the games are much quicker. Another thing to also add, well, the game was pretty small too, but also to add is when it came to movement, definitely those slower moving guys, you want to advance them right from the get-go, get them into the position that you need them to get into. When it comes to shooting, of course, choose your targets effectively. Focus fire always works, but it didn't work for me against that blight drone, that's for sure. I only got him down to 7 wounds, it was 10. Now, when it came to Psychic, we didn't get to really play with that too much, and when it came to the assault phase, so combat. So when it came up to the actual charge phase, everything worked fine. Overwatch hurts a lot when you're going up against flamers, and when you're looking at stuff like hitting first, that's so important. There's certain situations where if I wouldn't have assaulted and got that first hit, my unit would have pretty much been wiped out if it would have been the other way around. So don't be too tentative when it comes to getting into assault. Just get in there if you can get in there to get those first hits off, because that makes a huge difference. Falling back worked pretty neat. Overall, morale didn't really do too much to the game, mostly because some of the units ignored it or there were rerolls. Keeping your units within coherency, or not necessarily coherency, but within the buff bubble of certain units like your leaders makes a huge difference too. So making sure you keep that in mind. Other than that, it was really good. Let me know what you guys think of this format, if you want me to stick to this format or go back to the old one. Again, I just really wanted to talk a little bit about some of the aspects of the game and what basically happened within the new rules. So with that said, I look forward to your feedback and comments, and if you like this stuff, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye now.